Hello all. This video will guide household users through the initial provisioning and configuration of your household. It will cover everything that needs to be done prior to the optional guided tour and is the first video in the household setup series. The initial configuration of the household, minus the guided tour, should only take about 5 minutes, although this video will be longer as I'll be expanding on certain topics along the way. If you are unsure of what household is, or you'd like a walkthrough of the app instead, you can find those videos elsewhere on our channel. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe because we really appreciate it, and that money that could go into marketing can instead go into developing cool new features instead. So thank you, and let's go ahead and get your household set up. The first step to almost anything in life, household included, is the terms of service. A brief note on our terms of service. Because minors may use this application, it is worth noting that household user accounts, with the exception of the main account, do not need an email address to be stored with the user. Only a username is required for any member of the household outside of the main user. The reason I was able to build Household this way is that household member passwords can be reset by any household member with privileged access, i.e. any household manager. For example, if my youngest forgets their password and their browser did not save it, I can log into our household and change their password. This negates needing an email tied to their account. For yourself, the household manager, an email is required so that your password can always be reset this way. No other personal information is needed from any member of the household. We created this application with the utmost regard for privacy. After accepting the terms of service, you will be directed to either the Stripe checkout process or directly into the subdomain selection screen if you are a part of the ongoing beta. Household follows the structure of subdomain.domain, which would make your household contain your chosen subdomain .household.casa. This is an architectural choice for complete data isolation between households. You will never have to worry about another household seeing your data through data leakage, and vice versa, and is commonly practiced for HIPAA and other highly secure environment requirements. When this page first loads, it will auto-generate 5 choices of subdomains that follow the formula of adjective-noun, mostly animals, but there are some cryptids in there as well, such as goblin, mothman, alien, etc. If none of the choices are appealing to you, you can select the Choose Your Own option. This field group will produce 2 drop-downs of around 30 adjectives and 30 nouns, so you can customize the name yourself. If you would prefer, you can also directly type in your subdomain. There is a group of block names there, such as admin, demo, or any explicit terms. It is also advisable not to use personally identifiable information here, such as your last name, address, etc., as this subdomain may be viewable on the internet and to indexing bots. There will be a domain pop-up asking if you are sure that you would like to choose the subdomain chosen. It is advisable to carefully read over this, as subdomains are currently not changeable, as they tie directly to your database schema name. In the future, this may change, but it is not currently on the roadmap. After domain selection, you will receive an email to set your password. You may need to check your spam folder, as all inboxes are different, and some have not heard of us yet. After setting your password, you will be greeted with the Initial Household Settings Configuration page, or affectionately referred to as the ISK. The ISK consists of 3 pages, for now, and is crucial for every household to set up to function properly. The first page contains the household settings themselves. These are the App Selection. This setting is to customize your household experience. If you only want to use the chores functionality but not the games or books modules, then only select chores. Currently, chores and books are the only 2 choices, but we have a plethora of apps on the roadmap, including vehicle and home maintenance, pool chemical tracking, a skill building module, home fire escape and emergency preparedness, and more. These can be toggled at any time from the settings page after the ISK. At the database level, nothing is changing when these are turned off or on, so no data is lost toggling these on or off in the future. The Pay Per Task setting. This setting is specifically for the chores module and denotes whether household members get an allowance when performing chores. This is completely optional, and if you would prefer, you can utilize reward points solely for rewarding laborers instead. In my household, I use both reward points and pay per task as I've noticed that there are some things that motivate my kids more than money itself, such as trading cards, or picking dinner or a movie for the night, etc. If you do toggle this off, it will limit the starter badges that can be imported on the next page. These can be imported at any time though in the settings if you do decide in the future that you do want to give an allowance. The time zone. This setting is for the time zone of the household. If the setting is not set properly, time entries will not display properly, and the scheduling functionality will also not work properly. Currently, the time zones are all North and South America based, except for UTC, but we are looking to expand into other countries in the future, at which point other time zones will be available to choose. Just go ahead and click Next when you're finished. The next page in the ISK is the Badges Starter Packs. There are starter badges available for download so that you don't have to start from scratch with creating your badges. These are the Level Pack, the Reward Points Pack, the Money or Allowance badges, and the Reading badges, which consist of the words or books read sets. If you toggled off pay per task on the last page, then only the level, reward points, and reading badges will be downloaded. If you toggled off book tracking on the last page, then the reading badges will not be downloaded. You can see which badges are set to download in the ISK itself on this page. In the future, if you turn on pay per task or book tracking / book club in the settings, you can download the missing badge packs if desired. Each pack consists of 5 badges each with different milestones per badge, such as reach level 5, reach level 10, etc. These badges can also be viewed on the demo household at demo.household.casa/all badges when you click Show All Badges. The only badges from the demo instance that will not be seeded are the badges that directly relate to a chore, such as the mopped up badges, or the book series badges. These will have to be added yourself after you've finished creating the household. The downloading or seeding of the badges usually takes around 20 to 30 seconds, at which time the next button will be disabled. Once it finishes seeding, it should put you into the next section, which is the XP settings after that. The next and final part of the ISK is the setting of the XP settings. This part might be confusing at first, but I promise you it's a lot simpler than it looks. The XP settings are comprised of a base, or how many experience points it should take to level up to the next level, and a curve, also referred to as an exponent, which is how many extra points to add to each additional level. If you make a base of 100 and a curve of 1, which would be technically no curve at all, then it would take exactly 100 points to get to each consecutive level. Most video games implement a curve though, so that each consecutive level is more challenging to reach than the last. So a base of 100 and a curve of 1.1 means it will take 1.1 times the amount of the base to get to the next level. This would mean it should take 100 points to level 2, then 110 points to level 3, then 1.1 times 110, or 122 points to the next level, etc. If this is still confusing, you can just leave the settings at the default and it will make for a good curve system. It is also recommended to leave the XP per chore point at 1. And set the chores between 1 and 5 reward points depending on complexity and the time required to perform them. It is worth mentioning at this point that chore XP is directly tied to reward points assigned to the chore. So when creating rewards to be bought with reward points, set the prices with this in mind. You can also set the overall household level, which is words read and chores accomplished, and the individual module levels separately with different bases and curves. In my household, I set the overall level to 100 and 1.1, the chore level to the same, and the reading level with a slightly less steep curve at 1.05. I am planning a more in-depth XP settings video to go deeper into the XP system, as it really does have a good amount of moving pieces. But for now, the default settings are great options, as long as the reward points are not set too high per chore or book/words read. There is also a lock button on these settings, and this is because when these settings are changed, every user in the household's level is recalculated, and so are their earned level badges. These can always be recalculated by setting the XP settings back to what they previously were, but this does help for any accidental or unintended changes. And with this setting set, this does conclude the final portion of the ISK, and we can go ahead and move on to the next step in the setup process. After the ISK is complete, the next step is the guided tour if you are on a desktop browser, the getting started documentation, or just winging it and setting up the rest of the household itself. If you watch the guided tour video, which is next in this series, you can take the knowledge from it and apply it to your household. The guided tour will walk you through creating a chore, creating a badge for said chore, creating a reward, and lastly, creating a user. You can also just read the getting started documentation, or you can just click through the menus and find your way that way. The website is set up extremely intuitive, and for most things I broke it down pretty Barney style, so it should be pretty simple to set up your household. So if you liked this video, just go ahead and like and share it, and also subscribe, because that really does help us out and it saves us from spending money on marketing. So thank you, and we'll see you in the next video.